If you think women say what they feel, my friend, you're already losing. Most men walk around blind to the signals women give off. They think she'll tell them when she's interested or say something when she's secretly desiring them. But that's not how female psychology works. Women don't announce attraction. They signal it quietly, subtly, in ways you only notice when you finally stop chasing and start paying attention. And here's the truth, a lot of you are missing these signals every single day. At work, at the gym, at the coffee shop. Even with women you think aren't interested, you misread silence as rejection. You misread shyness as disinterest. You misread nervousness as coldness. And because of that, you never move, you never lead, you never act. But once you learn the signs, everything changes. You'll see the way her eyes linger. You'll notice the shift in her voice. You'll feel the spark in her energy. You'll understand the subtle ways women reveal desire, even when they pretend not to. Today, I'm going to break down these signals one by one so you finally know what's happening beneath the surface. No games, no guessing, just clarity, confidence, and the truth every man deserves to hear. Let's get into it. Number 1. The eyes that give her away. My friend, let's start with the most revealing signal of all. A woman may control her words, her tone, even her body language, but her eyes, that's the one thing she struggles to hide. When a woman quietly desires you, her eyes betray her long before she admits anything. And if you're a man in his 40s, 50s, or 60s, this becomes even clearer because women your age don't play the same teenage games. Their attraction shows up in subtle, mature, instinctive ways. Let me give you a real example. Mark, 58, from Ohio, told me about a woman he kept running into at his local bookstore. Linda, 55, always acted polite, calm, and slightly reserved. Nothing dramatic, nothing obvious. But every time he walked in, her eyes lit up for half a second. She'd glance at him when she thought he wasn't looking. When he spoke, she held his gaze just slightly longer than socially required. Not long enough to be inappropriate, just long enough to reveal interest. Mark didn't notice it at first because he was overthinking the situation. But once he learned how women signal desire, the truth became obvious. Her eyes were asking him to lead. Now flip the dynamic for a moment. A woman named Karen, 60, told me about a man she liked at her gym. She swore up and down that she never flirted with him. I'm too classy for that. But when I asked what she actually did, she laughed. She admitted she always positioned herself near him. She checked his reaction during group workouts. When he talked to her, she met his eyes, then looked down with a slight smile. She avoided staring directly, but she kept checking to see if he'd look at her again. That's desire hiding in plain sight. Women use their eyes in 3 powerful ways. 1. The lingering glance. She looks at you a moment longer than necessary. Maybe half a second, maybe a full second, but it's timed enough to create a spark. Mature women do this incredibly subtly because they don't want to look obvious. 2. The double take. You look away, and she looks again. This is the strongest subconscious signal. She wants to see you, but she doesn't want you catching her too easily. 3. The soft eyes. Her eyes soften when you speak. The tension in her face drops. Her expression warms. This isn't friendliness. This is feminine energy responding to masculine presence. And here's the part most men misunderstand. A woman's eyes aren't just looking at you. They're looking for something in you, for steadiness, for calm masculinity, for a man who isn't nervous or reactive. This is why a Stoic mindset matters here. Seneca said, "Eyes are the windows of the mind." A woman reads your confidence before she feels it. If your eyes dart around, if you avoid eye contact, if you break the moment too fast, she loses the emotional thread you didn't even realize you were creating. Women don't desire men who can't hold a gaze. They desire men who can hold a moment. So here's the truth. When a woman is secretly into you, she doesn't need to speak. Her eyes do the speaking for her. Your job is to notice it without panicking, without overreacting, and without turning into a performer. You simply acknowledge the moment with calm confidence. If this resonates, drop a comment and type, "I see truth." Let's keep going because the next sign shows up in the way she moves toward you without even knowing she's doing it. Number 2. The subtle moves she makes toward you. My friend, this is one of the most misunderstood signs in all of female psychology. When a woman desires you, she almost never approaches directly. She doesn't walk in with bold energy, she doesn't declare interest, and she certainly doesn't make the first move in the obvious way most men hope for. Instead, she moves toward you in small, almost invisible steps. These movements are soft, delicate, instinctive. They happen because her body reacts to your presence before her mind gives permission. Every man over 40 needs to hear this because women your age have refinement. They aren't impulsive teenagers. Their attraction is subtle and controlled, which means if you aren't paying attention, you'll miss every sign she's giving you. One of the first signals you'll notice is her positioning. A woman who feels nothing will keep a safe, neutral distance. But a woman who feels drawn to your energy will drift into your orbit. She might sit closer than necessary in a casual setting. She might choose the same aisle, the same corner, the same path you're walking. None of this looks intentional, but it is. Her subconscious mind is creating proximity, giving you a chance to notice her without forcing anything. You'll also notice how her pacing shifts around you. A woman who has no interest moves quickly and decisively. But when she feels desire, she slows down near you. She stretches time. It's subtle, but you'll sense that she lingers half a second longer than expected, as if her body refuses to leave the moment, even when her mind tells her to keep moving. And then there's the mirroring. Most men overlook this entirely. When she's drawn to you, her body begins to sync with yours. If you lean back, she relaxes. If you turn slightly toward her, she shifts in your direction. She matches your rhythm without realizing it. This is not coincidence. It's biology. It's the feminine responding to grounded masculine presence. Another powerful sign is when she finds small excuses to re-enter your space. Maybe she returns to ask a simple question. Maybe she walks by again, even though she finished what she was doing. Maybe she circles back with no real reason. Women don't create repeated proximity with men they don't feel something for. These are controlled opportunities, quiet invitations she'll never verbalize. This is where Stoicism becomes your advantage. Marcus Aurelius said, "To understand the true nature of things, observe them without emotion." In moments like these, emotional men chase, overreact, or misinterpret. Stoic men read the situation calmly. They see the shift in her movement. They feel the change in energy. They understand the signals for what they are: subtle expressions of desire that require presence, not pressure. A woman's movements are not random. They're instinct speaking on her behalf. She won't tell you she wants you nearby. She won't announce her attraction. She reveals it through the small ways she draws herself into your world, testing whether you're perceptive enough to notice and centered enough to lead. If this resonates, drop a comment and type, "I move aware." Stay with me, because the next sign exposes the nervous reactions she can't hide even when she tries. Number 3. The nervous signals she can't hide. My friend, this one always surprises men, especially men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. When a woman desires you, she doesn't usually become seductive, smooth, or flirtatious. She becomes nervous. Not anxious in a negative way, but nervous in the way someone feels when their emotions show up before they're ready to admit them. Desire doesn't make women confident. It makes them react. And those reactions are impossible to hide. Let me make this real for you with an example. David, 59, from Texas, told me about a woman named Monica, 56, who worked in the same office building. Every time they crossed paths, she became noticeably different. She fumbled her words. She laughed at things that weren't even jokes. She touched her necklace, adjusted her hair, or straightened her clothes in the middle of a normal conversation. At first, David thought she was just awkward, but the truth is simpler. Her body was reacting to a man she was attracted to. Her behavior wasn't random. It was emotional energy looking for a way out. This kind of nervousness is one of the strongest subconscious signs of desire. A woman can fake interest, she can fake indifference, but she cannot fake involuntary reactions. When her hands fidget, when she shifts her weight, when she hesitates before speaking, that's not uncertainty about you. That's desire interrupting her calm. There's another example from a woman named Rachel, 55, who admitted she always became flustered around a man she liked at her hiking group. She said she would practice what to say beforehand, but the moment he showed up, she completely forgot everything. Her voice softened, her breathing changed. She couldn't hold eye contact for more than a moment before looking down. She told me, "I felt like a teenager again, and I hated how obvious it was." That's the raw truth. Even mature women lose composure when a man's presence hits them on a deep level. These signals can show up in so many subtle ways. Sometimes it's the way her voice shifts lighter, warmer, or slightly breathy. Sometimes it's the way she plays with her sleeves or touches her face without realizing what she's doing. Sometimes it's the way she blushes, even if only for a split second when you look at her directly. And sometimes it's the opposite. She becomes overly formal, overly proper, almost too put together. That's not confidence. That's her trying to hide the spark she feels. Here's where the Stoic mindset becomes your advantage. Epictetus wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Women do the same when they desire a man silently. Their minds imagine every possibility at once: rejection, embarrassment, attraction, future outcomes, and their bodies respond to that storm of emotion. A Stoic man doesn't overthink her reactions, he simply observes. He reads the moment with clarity instead of panic. You see, nervousness in women is not a flaw, it's a sign of emotional investment. Indifference is calm, attraction is tension. When a woman can't sit still around you, that is her body revealing what her pride won't let her say. Your job isn't to call it out. Your job isn't to fix it. Your job is to stay grounded, so she feels safe, relaxing into the moment. If this resonates, drop a comment and type, "I read energy." Stay tuned, because next you'll learn how her voice changes when she's secretly drawn to you. Number 4. The softening shift in her voice. My friend, this sign is one most men never catch because they're too focused on what a woman says instead of how she says it. A woman's voice is one of the most revealing windows into her desire. She may control her posture. She may control her facial expression. She may even control her words. But her voice, that betrays everything. When a woman is secretly drawn to you, her voice changes in ways she does not consciously plan. It softens, it slows, it warms. It becomes less guarded and more feminine. This is not performance. This is instinct. Women do not soften their voice for men they feel neutral toward. They soften it for men who pull them in emotionally. This shift often happens the moment she feels your presence. Her tone becomes slightly lighter, almost melodic. She becomes more gentle with her words. She might laugh more softly, speak more slowly, or let her sentences drift with a subtle sweetness. Even the most confident, outspoken, bold woman will soften her voice when her feminine energy responds to your masculinity. Sometimes the shift is even more subtle. Her voice may become breathier, like her body is unconsciously relaxing. Or it becomes quieter, as if the conversation suddenly feels intimate, even when the topic is ordinary. And here's the part many men miss. This shift is emotional, not logical. She doesn't decide to soften her tone. Her body responds to the way your presence makes her feel. Stoicism explained this dynamic long before modern psychology. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When a woman speaks to you, her voice reveals the emotional color inside her. If she feels tension, her voice tightens. If she feels nothing, her voice stays flat. But if she feels desire, true feminine desire, her voice softens around you like warm air settling into still water. This is why staying calm matters so much. When you are grounded, her voice instinctively settles. When you are present, she becomes present. When your energy is steady, her voice responds to that steadiness. The feminine follows the emotional rhythm of the masculine, not by force, but by nature. Pay attention the next time a woman speaks to you. Notice how her tone shifts mid-conversation. Notice how her voice becomes warmer when you look directly at her. Notice how she speaks differently to you than she does to others. A woman who desires you will not use the same voice she uses with strangers. She may pretend she's just being friendly, but the softness in her tone whispers the truth. Here's the key: you don't react, you don't brag, you don't make it weird. You stay calm, steady, and masculine, because the moment you mirror her softness, she loses the polarity that drew her to you. But when you hold your grounded presence, her voice softens even more. And my friend, if you want deeper training on reading these emotional cues, understanding feminine communication, and becoming the man women naturally relax around, consider joining the channel membership. That's where I break down the advanced masculine psychology I can't share publicly. If this resonates, drop a comment and type, "I hear truth." Number 5. The jealous flicker she won't admit. My friend, this is one of the strongest signs a woman is secretly desiring you, and yet it's the one she'll fight the hardest to hide. A woman might conceal her interest. She might conceal her nervousness. She might even conceal her attraction. But jealousy, that flicker, is involuntary. It appears for a split second, and if you're a man who actually pays attention, you'll see it long before she regains her composure. Let me show you how this plays out in real life. There's a man named Greg, 61, from Florida. Good-looking guy, calm energy, divorced, rebuilding his life. At his local art class, there was a woman named Evelyn, 58, who always acted friendly but neutral toward him. No flirting, no big moves, nothing obvious. Greg assumed she wasn't interested. But one afternoon, while he was chatting casually with another woman in the class, he saw it, the quick flicker in Evelyn's eyes. Her smile faded for half a second. The muscles in her jaw tightened. She adjusted her bag even though she wasn't going anywhere. Small, subtle, but unmistakable. That was jealousy revealing what her words never would. A woman who feels nothing doesn't react. She stays calm, composed, unbothered. But a woman who feels desire, deep feminine desire, reacts emotionally before she can think logically. She may look away quickly, as if to pretend she doesn't care. She may suddenly go quiet. She may insert herself into the conversation without meaning to. Or she might become extra upbeat, overly cheerful, trying to prove she's not affected. But underneath the performance, the truth is simple. She noticed another woman noticing you. On the other side of this dynamic, a woman named Kelly, 57, once told me a story that explains this perfectly. She said she had a crush on a man in her walking group. She never flirted, never made a move, never said a word. But any time another woman laughed a little too loudly at his jokes or stood a little too close, she felt what she called a punch in the stomach. She hid it well. She smiled. She pretended to be unbothered. But inside she was fully aware of her reaction. She said, "I hated feeling jealous, but I couldn't help it. It showed me I liked him more than I wanted to admit." That's exactly how feminine desire works. Jealousy isn't a red flag here, it's a compass. It tells you she sees you as a man with value, a man other women notice, and a man she doesn't want to lose the chance with, even if she hasn't taken a single step forward yet. Most men misinterpret this flicker. They either ignore it completely or lean into it with insecurity. But a grounded man, especially a Stoic man, handles it differently. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. When you stay composed, confident and centered, you don't react to her jealousy. You simply observe it. You let it reveal the truth without making it awkward or confrontational." The feminine wants to know you're desirable, not desperate. She wants to feel that other women see your value, not that you chase validation. Her jealousy rises when she senses you are a man worth competing for, but only if you stay grounded in your lane. So here's the truth, my friend. If she gets a little colder when another woman talks to you, if she suddenly becomes more attentive, if she tries to redirect your attention, if she watches you more carefully, she's not annoyed. She's not confused. She's not offended. She's jealous, which means she's invested, which means she wants you more than she wants to admit. If this hits home, drop a comment and type, "I see signals." Don't go anywhere, because the next sign reveals how she uses closeness itself to expose the desire she keeps hidden. Number 6. The slow lean-in that reveals her desire. My friend, this is one of the signs men overlook the most. Not because it's subtle, but because you've been trained your whole life to focus on what a woman says instead of what her body is quietly communicating. And when a woman desires you, her body speaks first. The slow lean-in is one of those moments where her instinct betrays her intentions. She doesn't plan it. She doesn't think about it. She just moves closer because she wants to feel your presence. Here's the truth. Most men never hear. A woman leans in when she feels safe, curious, and pulled toward your masculine energy. Not your words, not your compliments, your energy, your groundedness, your calm, the way you hold yourself without forcing anything. When a woman feels that her body responds before her mind catches up, you may notice it when you're sitting across from her and she gradually reduces the space between you, or when she shifts her chair a little closer even though she doesn't need to, or when she leans toward you during a conversation pretending she didn't hear you clearly when she absolutely did. That's desire speaking. That's her feminine instinct, reaching out so she can feel more of you without openly exposing her attraction. Stoic philosophy explains this perfectly. Seneca said, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." But that idea applies to desire too. When something is genuine, it doesn't rush, it doesn't explode. It unfolds slowly, naturally, with intention. A woman who is truly drawn to you won't fling herself at you. Her desire moves gradually like a tide, pulling closer, inch by inch. The slow lean-in is her body signaling, "I'm opening the door." Are you the man who steps through calmly, or the man who panics? A man who doesn't understand this sign will either freeze or lean in too aggressively, ruining the tension she was trying to create. But a masculine man, steady, composed, grounded, holds his position. He keeps his posture relaxed. He lets her come toward him. He lets her choose the distance. And women crave that dynamic more than they will ever say out loud. Because here's the psychology behind it. When she leans in, she's testing the emotional temperature. She wants to feel your energy up close. She wants to sense whether you're stable or needy, centered or reactive. She wants to confirm that you're not over-eager. Her slow lean-in is like a whisper. "Let me feel who you are." And if you react with calm confidence, her attraction rises. If you tighten up or chase the moment, her instinct pulls her back. A woman's desire expresses itself through proximity. She wants to be closer to what she finds attractive. She wants to be within your space, your presence, your orbit. It's feminine nature. But she still wants you to be the anchor. She wants you to be the one who doesn't break the moment with nervous energy. The lean-in isn't her making a move. It's her revealing that a move could happen if you're the man capable of holding that tension. So pay attention when she moves a little closer, when she rests her arm near yours, when she tilts her body in your direction, when she breaks her own personal space without realizing it. This isn't accident. This isn't coincidence. This is desire she doesn't have the courage to say out loud. If you've ever seen this happen, my friend, drop a comment and type, "I hold presence." Stay with me, because in the next part, you'll learn the sign that exposes her attraction even when she's trying to stay guarded. Number 7. The touch clues she doesn't realize she shows. My friend, this one separates the men who understand women from the men who stay confused their entire lives. A woman can control her words, she can control her smile, she can even control her tone, but what she cannot control is how her body reacts when she's drawn to a man. Touch is instinctive, subtle, unplanned. And when she's secretly desiring you, it shows up in ways she often doesn't even notice. Let me make this real for you. There's a man named Robert, 59, from Oregon. Quiet, grounded, a man who's done his inner work. At his local bookstore, he'd sometimes talk with a woman named Claire, 55, who worked there part-time. Nothing flirty, nothing dramatic. But every time they spoke, Claire would lightly tap her fingers on the counter toward his side. She'd brush her sleeve, then accidentally let it touch his wrist. She'd hand him a book and let her fingers linger a moment longer than necessary. She'd fix her necklace while looking at him, exposing the side of her neck without realizing she was doing it. These aren't accidents. These are feminine attraction cues that slip out when she's trying hard to stay composed. And here's the interesting part. One afternoon, Robert pulled back just slightly, keeping a little more space between them. He didn't act cold. He didn't step away dramatically. He simply stood grounded and calm. That's when Claire's behavior shifted. She leaned forward more. She touched her hair more often. She reached out and tapped his forearm while laughing at something he said, even though it wasn't that funny. That's the feminine responding to masculine restraint. The moment he stopped unintentionally fueling, the moment she stepped closer to reconnect it. Women often touch in indirect, seemingly innocent ways when they're attracted. They may adjust your collar, brush something off your shirt, pat your arm when they laugh, nudge you playfully, rest their hand near yours on a table, letting the distance close slowly. These gestures appear small, but they reveal everything. A woman's touch becomes softer, slower, and more intentional when she feels desire. She's not trying to seduce you. She's trying to feel you, to experience your presence in a physical way, to test how you respond. And whether you remain calm, controlled, and grounded tells her more than any words you could say. On the other hand, let me give you the perspective from a woman's side. Linda, 60, once told me that whenever she liked a man, she found herself touching small parts of her environment near him, leaning her hand on the table next to him, brushing her knee subtly in his direction, tapping his sleeve when she wanted attention. She said it felt like gravity. She didn't decide to do it. Her body simply wanted closeness. This is why Stoic composure matters. Marcus Aurelius said, "Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself." Women feel safest, and therefore the most drawn to a man who can hold himself steady when things get emotionally charged. When she touches you intentionally or instinctively, she's not just showing desire. She's checking your stability. She's seeing whether you melt instantly, get flustered, or hold your masculine center. A grounded man doesn't overreact to female touch. He doesn't tense up. He doesn't lean in chasing more. He lets the moment be what it is. That calm presence is what amplifies her pull toward you, because masculine steadiness creates feminine expansion. So here's what you need to remember. If she finds small excuses to touch you, if her fingers linger longer than the situation requires, if her body turns toward yours and narrows the space, if her hand brushes you, then returns a moment later, these are not coincidences. These are confessions her words will never say. If this resonates, drop a comment and type "I read signals." Stay tuned, because the next sign exposes what happens when her desire grows strong enough that she can't keep her distance anymore. Number 8. The energy shift when you walk in. My friend, this is one of the deepest signs a woman is secretly desiring you, and most men never notice it because they're too focused on what she does instead of what the entire room does. A woman may hide her eyes, she may hide her voice, she may hide her nervousness, but she cannot hide the energetic shift that happens the moment you enter her space. And if you pay attention, you'll feel it long before you see it. Let's be honest here. When a man she doesn't care about walks in, nothing changes. She stays the same. Her posture stays the same. Her breathing stays the same. Her tone stays the same. But when she's drawn to you, her entire nervous system reacts. Women experience attraction through sensation, not logic. And the first thing that changes is her energy. Sometimes it shows up in how she suddenly becomes more alert, as if a subtle spark just woke her up. Sometimes it shows up in how she straightens her posture, pulls her shoulders back, or fixes her hair without noticing why she's doing it. Sometimes she stops mid-sentence. Sometimes her voice shifts. Sometimes she immediately looks around the room even though she's pretending not to search for you. But the energy is the giveaway. Stoic philosophy explains this dynamic more clearly than you think. Epictetus said, "Circumstances do not make the man, they reveal him." Attraction works the same way. Your presence doesn't cause her desire. It reveals the desire she was already holding quietly beneath the surface. The moment you walk in, her composure cracks just enough for the truth to leak through. You may notice she becomes either more talkative or more quiet. Both are signs. A woman who rambles around you is often trying to manage her nerves. A woman who suddenly becomes silent is trying to regain control of her emotions. Either way, her body recognizes you before her mind organizes itself. Something else happens too. She becomes aware of herself, her hands, her breathing, her posture, her clothes. This isn't insecurity, this is instinct. Feminine desire always heightens self-awareness. She wants to look good around you without making it obvious that she cares. But the strongest signal is this: she tracks where you are in the room. Even if she isn't looking directly at you, she knows. Women have a social radar men underestimate. She feels your presence. She feels when you move. She feels when you're close. She feels when you're behind her. She feels when you're about to walk by. And her energy shifts accordingly. A man grounded in his masculinity doesn't chase this reaction. He doesn't make a big deal out of it. He doesn't puff up his chest or try to impress her. He simply walks in with calm purpose. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When your internal world is steady, confident, and controlled, your presence naturally shifts the environment around you. Women feel that before anyone else. So pay attention next time. Pay attention to the way her posture lifts, to the way her tone softens or rises, to the way her breath changes, to the way she suddenly becomes aware of herself, to the way she orients herself in your direction without meaning to. A woman cannot hide energetic attraction. She can mask words. She can mask expressions. But energy, that's instinct, that's automatic. That's desire revealing itself in real time. If you felt this shift before, drop a comment and type, "I feel energy." Stick with me, because the next sign exposes the one behavior she can't control, even when she tries her hardest to stay cool. Number 9. The extra effort she makes only for you. My friend, this is one of the clearest signs a woman is secretly desiring you, and yet most men miss it because they're looking for something dramatic. But women don't show desire through grand gestures. They show it through effort. Quiet effort. Selective effort. Effort she does not make for anyone else, but makes for you without even realizing why. Let me bring this to life with a real example. There's a man named Thomas, 62, from Minnesota. A simple, grounded man who's been living alone for years. Every morning he stops by the same cafe on his way to his workshop, and every morning the same woman, Caroline, 56, greets him with a smile that's just a little brighter than the one she gives everyone else. Thomas never thought much of it, but one day something changed. When he walked in, she adjusted her hair, straightened her blouse, and stepped forward before he even reached the counter. The moment he sat down, she brought him his usual order without asking. Then she did something she didn't do for any other customer. She asked him how he slept and stayed to chat, even though a line was forming. These small moments may not look like desire to the untrained eye, but they're exactly how a woman invests in the man she's quietly drawn to. Women won't always flirt with words. They flirt with effort. They remember your preferences. They show up for you more consistently. They give you attention they don't give anyone else. They soften around you. They try harder to look their best when they know they might see you. And often it's the change in behavior that reveals the truth. Before desire, she might look neutral, simple, polite. But after desire, she steps up her presence. She shows more warmth. She brings more energy. She becomes more thoughtful and more aware of the details that matter to you. Even small things carry meaning. If she normally texts short replies but writes longer messages to you, if she normally dresses casually but puts in more effort when she knows you'll be around, if she normally keeps conversations brief but opens up more with you, these are all signals she's doing the most where she feels the most. And this effort isn't random. It's instinct. It's desire. It's feminine energy reaching toward your masculine center. The key is your response. A man who understands women doesn't reward this effort by bragging or rushing in. He stays grounded. He stays consistent. He acknowledges, but doesn't chase. Because nothing kills attraction faster than a man who becomes overwhelmed by the smallest amount of female attention. Seneca said, "The greatest power is self-control." That applies here. When she increases her effort, your job is to maintain your energy, not inflate it. A woman's desire expands when your masculinity remains steady. Let me give you another real-world angle. A woman named Patricia, 54, once admitted she would wake up earlier just to do her hair on days she knew a certain man at her office would be in. She didn't flirt. She didn't confess anything. But her efforts skyrocketed the moment she realized she wanted to be noticed by him. She said, "I didn't choose to do it. I just cared more when he was around." That's the truth. When a woman desires you, she cares more about how she looks, how she sounds, how you see her, how she shows up around you. If she's putting in extra effort she does not offer to anyone else, it's because you've stirred something inside her she can't ignore. If that makes sense to you, drop a comment and type, "I notice effort." Let's keep going, because the final sign will show you the deepest truth behind female desire, and the one thing she always follows without admitting it. Number 10. The silent longing you feel before she says a word. My friend, this final sign isn't something you see, it's something you feel. And most men ignore it, because they've been trained to rely only on logic. But attraction, especially feminine attraction, does not start with words or actions. It begins as an energy, a tension, a pull, a quiet intensity that settles between you even before she opens her mouth. You've probably felt this before. That moment when you walk into a room and something shifts around one specific woman. She doesn't look at you right away. She doesn't speak. She might even act as if she hasn't noticed you. But your body feels something, a subtle warmth, a tightening, a spark. Your instincts tell you there's a connection, even though nothing visible has happened yet. That's silent longing. And it's real. Women operate emotionally long before they operate verbally. Their attraction forms in their nervous system before it forms in their behavior. And when she desires you, Her body projects it without her permission. She becomes more still around you, more aware, more attuned. She senses your presence like a vibration. You feel hers like a magnetic pull. What's powerful about this sign is that it goes both ways. Her energy reaches for yours and your masculine intuition picks it up. Stoic philosophy reminds us that perception is powerful. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. When you are grounded, present and calm, you notice things other men miss. You sense her interest, not through fantasy, but through awareness. Silent longing shows up in micro-behaviors, too subtle for the untrained eye. The way she pauses when you walk by, the way her breath catches for half a second, the way her posture opens or softens, the way she angles her body even when her eyes avoid yours, the way she lingers in your vicinity just a little too long. But again, the deepest part of this signal isn't visual, it's energetic. Her presence presses against yours even when she doesn't speak. It's the tension that fills the air, the slow pull you can't explain, the awareness you feel in your chest rather than your mind. This is why so many men say, "I could just feel she liked me," and most of the time they're right. Women don't always initiate. They don't always flirt openly. Desire often scares them. They fear being judged, rejected, or misunderstood. So instead of expressing it, they sit with it, quietly. But longing needs somewhere to go. And it leaks through body language, through energy, through the way she orients herself around you. Here's what separates a grounded man from everyone else. He doesn't chase the tension. He doesn't rush in or assign meaning where there is none. He stays steady. He allows the moment to unfold naturally. When you stay anchored, you give her space to reveal more of her interest. You give that silent longing room to grow. And here's the truth many men never understand. Before a woman gives you a look, before she gives you a smile, before she gives you a hint, she gives you her energy. Desire begins long before words. If you learn to feel it, not fantasize it, but truly feel it, you'll understand women on a level most men never reach. And that brings us to the end, my friend. The final sign is the one you sense before anything physical happens. The one her body whispers, even when her mind stays quiet. The one that tells you without doubt that she wants you more than she's ready to admit. That's silent longing. And once you can recognize it, everything changes. My friend, today you learned the real signs women never say out loud. The eyes that give her away the subtle movements, the nervous tells the shifts in her voice, the jealousy, the closeness, the touch, the energy, the effort and the silent longing you can feel before a single word is spoken. When you understand these signals, you stop guessing and start seeing the truth. If you want deeper lessons, exclusive content and guidance I don't share publicly, make sure you join the membership. And if you haven't yet, hit subscribe so you don't miss tomorrow's video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.